And we start with this, a Fox News alert yesterday marking the third straight day of riots in California as protesters push back against the Trump administration's illegal immigration crackdown.
Todd Pyro joins us now with the latest. Todd.
Absolute chaos in Los Angeles this weekend as anti-ICE rioters took to the streets in protests of federal immigration raids. Watch. For 3 straight days, we have seen protesters, most of whom were wearing masks to hide their faces, clash with police, throwing just about anything from cinder blocks to hammers at law enforcement in response to ICE arrests throughout the city. It all started Friday night.
You can see here on this exclusive video provided to Fox, rioters are chucking large rocks at incoming federal vehicles, putting their lives in danger, shattering glass, huge holes in the windshields. And the violence only got worse from there. Rioters were lighting fireworks and aiming them directly at law enforcement officers. The optics are astounding. Here are rioters waving the Mexican flag high in the air while parading the flame-ridden, smoke-filled street. And as they wave these Mexican flags in the air, rioters were also burning the American flag. But on cue, the left is referring to the events as peaceful.
The vast majority of protesters there have been peaceful.
We see peaceful protests launching in Los Angeles.
We're seeing these mass raids happening in areas that are peaceful.
It started peacefully. People were there to protest. They're there to protest the mass deportations that are happening. And so it was peaceful.
Now the Trump administration is vowing to put an end to the chaos. DHS posting these photos and saying, quote, order will be restored. And President Trump is warning that the U.S. won't take it.
If we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do as a common thing. They get up to them this far away and then they start spitting in their face. That happens, they get hit very hard.
But Governor Gavin Newsom is vowing to fight back, calling on border czar Tom Homan to go ahead, arrest him.
Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
Yeah, bloviating is exhausting, Governor. Well, border czar Homan responded this morning on Fox and Friends that if Newsom breaks the law, he just might.
Then the reporter asked me, well, could Governor Newsom or Mayor Bass be arrested? I said, well, no one's above the law. If they cross the line and commit a crime, absolutely they can.
President Trump would have none of it. Writing on Truth Social, I am directing the Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, in coordination with all other relevant departments and agencies, to take all such action necessary to liberate Los Angeles from the migrant invasion and put an end to these migrant riots. California Governor Gavin Newsom, meantime, said Trump was acting as a dictator, writing on X, I have formally requested the Trump administration rescind their unlawful deployment of troops in Los Angeles County and return them to my command.
You know, what's kind of amazing is you really have the story in one country, 2 different philosophies when it comes to illegal immigration. You got a mayor and a governor elected, rightfully, and who said illegal immigrants are just like anybody else. And we're a sanctuary state. We're a sanctuary city. You'll have all the rights, and we'll go out of our way to make sure you're not arrested. We got a president that got elected because he's going to enforce the border and get rid of illegal immigrant criminals first and the rest along the way. There are 660,000 illegal immigrant criminals. We're going to show you a roster shortly.
As Brian was saying, when you look at some of these criminals that were scooped up, these are people who are here illegally. Here are some of their charges: burglary, sexual assault, sexual battery, receiving stolen property and theft, cocaine distribution, conspiracy, controlled substances, assault with a deadly weapon, obstructing officers, assault with deadly weapon with great bodily injury, firearm discharge, spousal battery, child cruelty, DUI, semi-automatic firearm assault, second-degree murder, grand theft, larceny, and possession of a weapon, narcotics distribution, and domestic violence.
So you got people that are violent criminals that are in California, in Los Angeles, and the Trump administration is doing the promise that they got elected on, which is getting the criminals out of our country. So you got the federal agents that are on the ground, and then a mob attacks them. They get on the radio to talk to the Los Angeles Police Department, and someone in the higher echelon, the chief or someone, tells the officers not to respond to the calls for help from ICE. So you got federal agents that are surrounded, and now they've been made the enemy. You got the Mexican president calling for protests. How about you come get your people out of our country that are violent offenders that we showed you? Then you got the people with Mexican flags. If you love Mexico so much, you can go back to that country and make it great again.
Right, I just love this. I'm just going to ask you the question. Law and disorder. Make your choice. Are you for the law or are you for disorder? Make another choice. Are you for illegal immigration or are you for legal migration? Because that's starkly what we're looking at. He's enforced the border, but illegal immigrants then they can run wild, and they're on the taxpayer dollar. So for those of you who are upset about the size of your tax burden in California, it's because you're housing, paying, and educating these people.
Look at this. This is the police department. Just rioters slamming some sort of what is that, a skateboard into the glass?
Yeah, and broke the glass as well. And this is coming after, so Bill Melugin posted on X that the police chief said essentially that the situation was out of control. Gavin Newsom responds to Bill Melugin by saying this: let's get this straight. Local law enforcement didn't need any help. Excuse me? Trump sent troops anyway to manufacture chaos and violence. Number 3, Trump succeeded. And 4, now things are destabilized and we need to send in more law enforcement just to clean up Trump's mess. Crazy.
The LA police chief came out and said, are they 2,000 National Guardsmen making things worse? He goes, no. They basically said no. And that goes against
100%.
the people that put him in office, because he says, no, they haven't. And it is out of control. So the governor who sits there in a protective facility, wherever he is, doesn't want to go out and see what's going on, but says, okay, we're going to make Donald Trump the bad guy. And the mayor would have, every day she just reinforces how inadequate she is for the job, comes out and blames Trump.
Yeah, is Trump supposed to just sit by and watch this? They
mess.
shut down the 101 freeway. They faced off with the National Guard, with the agents and the riot police. Some were waving foreign flags.
Yeah,
there
look
were
at all these
39
flags.
people arrested. And even the police chief of L.A., Jim McDonnell, he said we're overwhelmed. They're using cinder blocks and hammers to throw at officers, to throw it at cars. We've had liquid, who knows what, thrown at officers.
So the Democratic Party is criticizing the president. This is their opportunity to lead. This is their city. They're in control. They can make something happen. But this is just the list of quotes that we're hearing from the leader. She wants to be the next governor. The former border czar, you know about Kamala Harris. This is what she had to say. It's part of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. The mayor, who allowed the city to burn, had no plan while she was on a foreign trip. This is what she had to say. What we're seeing in Los Angeles is chaos that is provoked by the administration. And then Governor Hairgel, Gavin Newsom, said this: these are the acts of a dictator, not a president. Now, you got to remember, this is the same city and state that passed a law that allowed criminals to just go into stores and be able to steal less than $1,000. And then all the stores left the state as a result of this, and now they're allowing the criminals to throw stuff at cops right now, injuring them.
Gavin Newsom, though, I'm interested in this just purely politically. Okay, I assume, Gavin Newsom, you care about your city and don't want to see it on fire. Let's just make that assumption. Okay, maybe you don't. Purely politically, why would you not look over to what Tim Walz did in Minnesota and be like, oh, he did this wrong. He didn't send the National Guard in time and a police precinct burned. I'm going to make a difference here. He's trying to rehabilitate his image as a leader ahead of 2028. How does this do it? These images are going to play. These same images were played against Tim Walz. You had the Associated Press asking questions of Tim Walz on this, doing fact checks of his record. They're going to do the same to you, Gavin Newsom. So change, if for no other reason, for pure politics.
Trump actually threw Gavin Newsom a political lifeline by sending in the National Guard. And yet Democrats like Newsom have convinced themselves that the 10 to 20% of every single issue is the resounding opinion of the American public on anything from illegal immigration to men and women's sports, which we were just talking about. Gavin Newsom has apparently deluded himself into believing that the American people want violence in Los Angeles' streets, that they don't want the Trump administration to send violent criminals back to where they belong. It's just wrong. A CBS poll actually came out this weekend, and this was taken before the riots broke out, that found that 54% of the public approves of Trump's immigration agenda, including mass deportations. That number is going to be significantly higher as a result of Newsom's refusal to act on this. They do not want sanctuary counties. They do not want sanctuary cities. And as evidence of that fact, just think of a poll that was taken last month that found that even 2% of Democrats see Gavin Newsom as the face of the Democratic Party. Not even his own party wants him. So I agree with you, Kayleigh. I think his political aspirations are dead in the water, and he only has himself to blame.
You know, if we just take a look at the baseline numbers here, this is Trump's net approval rating on immigration. It's gone up like a rocket. Compare now versus 8 years ago during Trump's first term. Look at this. In his first term, Trump was way, way, way underwater at minus 21 points. But look at this. He's up over 20 points. Now, in the aggregate, he is in positive territory at plus 1 point on his net approval rating. Some other polls even have it a little bit higher than that. There is no issue on which Trump is doing so much better than he was in his first term, more than the issue of immigration. No wonder the Times has written it up the way that he is. Trump is begging for a fight on this because he knows what he's doing so far is working with the American electorate.
Where does immigration rank on issues for him? How is he doing compared to others?
Yeah, so I think what's so important is it is his top issue so far. And the reason it is his top issue is because take a look at the individual nuggets in here. Why are people approving of Trump on immigration, approve of these different immigration actions while Trump's administration's program to deport those here illegally? Look at this, 54% approval. How about agents searching your hometown for those that they think are here illegally? Again, positive territory here, above 50% for Donald Trump. So it's not just on the broad issue of immigration where Trump is doing well. It's on the specifics. When you dive into the issues, Trump is above 50% and his actions are above 50%, at least with those most directly connected to what's going on right now out in Los Angeles.
So Donald Trump, the president, picking a fight on this, and to an extent, you see Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, a Democrat, and the California Governor Gavin Newsom pushing back. So what do voters see in terms of their perceptions of Republicans, the president, or Democrats, say Gavin Newsom on this issue?
Yeah, the American electorate believe that the Democrats don't have a clue on the issue of immigration. I mean, you could just take it here. Closer to trust more in immigration, Democrats versus Republicans. Got 3 different polls for you across the board. They all tell the same story. Republicans lead on the issue of immigration. You see it here, CBS plus 6. You see it here, CNN plus 6. You see it here, Ipsos, even bigger, plus 19. No matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans. The American public is with Donald Trump, and to a much greater extent than they were in term number 1. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration, it's on the specifics as well, in which the American public is with Donald Trump and the Republicans. And that is why Donald Trump is eager to take on this fight and eager for those scenes out of Los Angeles.
I was just going to use that word eager. This explains some of that eagerness to push forward ever more on this as it escalates. Harriet, and thank you.
Check. Criminals are chucking stuff at cops right now, injuring them. Optics. These images are going to play on the optics of the governor's leadership. Bloviate. The politician was bloviating about immigration without offering real solutions. Rescind. The government decided to rescind the law. Face off. The mayor and the president faced off over how to handle the riots in Los Angeles. Rehabilitate. The Minnesota governor tried to rehabilitate his image after the police precinct burned down.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.